A strange virus suddenly spreads through a massive building in Korea. Anyone who gets infected transforms into a violent creature, and the infected keep multiplying. But this isn't an ordinary zombie outbreak. The terrifying part is that the infected become smarter every minute. The story begins with a scientist named Young, who is preparing to carry out a biological terrorist attack. Before the attack even begins, he calls the police himself and warns them that something dangerous is about to happen inside a huge building. At the same time, a major conference is taking place inside the building, hosted by a biological research company called Chains Bio. Among the scientists attending is Sejong, a brilliant but difficult woman who refuses to stay quiet when she sees something wrong. She is there with her ex-husband Gio, who is trying to help her find a new job before he leaves for America with his current wife, Seoul. Before the conference begins, Sejong receives a mysterious invitation containing a strange message about a missing connection being responsible for the coming tragedy. She has no idea who sent it or why she was chosen. During the conference, Chains Bio presents an incredible discovery involving a slime mold-like organism. Its cells can communicate with each other, and experiments have even shown that it can restore movement to a paralyzed animal. The research could completely change medicine. But then Young appears. The moment the company director, Kang, sees him, he immediately leaves the conference. Young follows him, and we learn that the two men have a history. Young accuses Kang of stealing his research, then he injects Kang with a mysterious substance he developed. Kang tries to escape, but it's already too late. His body begins convulsing, a strange white substance comes out of his mouth, and within seconds he transforms into a violent creature. He attacks the first person he sees. The nightmare begins. Anyone who gets bitten becomes infected, and the creatures spread rapidly throughout the building. The police seal the entire place. Nobody can enter, and nobody can leave. On the ground floor, a security guard named Hyun desperately searches for his older sister, who has a leg disability and uses an electric wheelchair. Meanwhile, Sejong and Gio try to escape through the chaos. They eventually meet Hyun and several other survivors, including Bong, the leader of the counter-terrorism forces, and two schoolgirls named Sue and Na. Before the outbreak, Na used to bully Sue. Now they are trapped together and surrounded by hundreds of infected people. Sejong quickly notices something strange. The infected don't behave like normal zombies. At first they move on all fours and rely heavily on their vision. They can't distinguish real people from life-size pictures of humans, so the survivors create a distraction using human-sized cardboard cutouts and attach them to a wheelchair. The infected fall for the trick and rush toward the fake people. But then, something horrifying happens. The infected suddenly stop moving. A few seconds later, they start again. This time, they completely understand the trick. Sejong realizes the truth. The infected are connected. When one of them learns something, the entire colony learns it. That means every trick can only work once, and the creatures are constantly evolving. Soon, the infected begin standing on two legs, making previously safe hiding places useless. During another escape attempt, Gio gets separated from the group. He hides inside a clothing store, but one of the infected stands up, finds him, and kills him. Outside the building, Saul, who is also a biologist, begins working with the authorities to understand the infection. Inside, Sejong discovers another important clue. The infected communicate through the strange white substance coming from their bodies, and smell appears to be an important part of their communication system. She uses different smells and chemicals to confuse them. But again, every trick only works once. When the survivors reach an elevator, the infected surround them. Sejong activates the sprinkler system. The water disrupts the creature's communication, causing all of them to freeze for a few seconds. The survivors use the opportunity to escape, but Young warns them that the water could actually make things worse. Once it evaporates, it could spread more fungal particles through the building and strengthen the network connecting the infected. The survivors capture Young and receive an order from the authorities. They must bring him alive to the surface because his blood could be the key to creating a cure. They put him inside a freight elevator. But Young remains strangely calm. When the elevator reaches another floor, he opens the doors himself. The infected immediately rush inside. Several people are killed, but nobody attacks Young. He simply walks through them. That's when Sejong realizes that Young is immune to the infection. He may be the key to everything. The survivors later find Young through the security cameras. He's returned to Kang, the original infected. Young deliberately allows Kang to bite him, but instead of transforming, something much more dangerous happens. Young becomes connected to the entire colony. He can see what the infected see, and now he can control them. Thousands of infected bodies are suddenly connected to one mind. The survivors manage to capture Young again, but whenever his eyes are open, he can see through the infected. Sejong realizes this and orders everyone to communicate silently. Unfortunately, Young discovers that Hyun's sister is inside the control room. The infected immediately change direction and head toward her. Hyun decides to go back and save his sister. She sees him through the security cameras and realizes that he will die if he reaches her, so she secretly guides him toward an elevator. Hyun thinks she's leading him to safety. Then he realizes the elevator has already moved. There is no way back to the basement. His sister tricked him to save his life. But the infected break into the control room. Hyun hears his sister being attacked but can't reach her. She dies. Hyun is devastated. His mission changes completely. He no longer wants to escape. He wants to kill Young, no matter what happens to everyone else. Armed with knives and makeshift protection, Hyun begins fighting his way through the infected. Meanwhile, the other survivors capture Young once again and hide him inside a storage room. Sejong leaves Soo and Na with him while she tries to contact the rescue forces, but Bong has already been infected. The message Sejong sends reaches the colony, revealing their location and their plan. Inside the storage room, Na asks Soo how she can remain so calm. Sue explains that the bullying she suffered before the outbreak was sometimes worse than the horror happening around them. Na finally realizes how cruel she had been and apologizes. Sue tells her they can talk properly after they escape, but they never get the chance. The survivors hear what sounds like rescue forces outside. Na opens the door, but the voices are fake. The infected have learned to imitate human voices. They attack the storage room. In a moment of panic, Na pushes Sue toward them to save herself. Sue is bitten and transforms. Seconds later, Na is forced to face the infected version of the girl she once bullied. At the same time, the special forces manage to kill Kang. The authorities believe that killing the first infected will stop the entire colony, but they are wrong. Young has already become the new controlling mind. The infected begin spreading beyond the building. Hyun finally reaches Young. He's covered in blood and the strange white substance, so the infected no longer attack him. Sejong realizes that the substance makes the infected recognize someone as part of their colony. Hyun attacks Young and comes extremely close to killing him, but Sejong stops him because Young may still be their only chance of finding a cure. Hyun believes Sejong has chosen Young over his sister. Then Young uses his greatest weapon against him. Through the colony, Hyun sees his dead sister approaching, but this time she's walking. The substance has restored movement to her body, yet she isn't the same person anymore. She's part of the colony. Hyun freezes, unable to attack her. Young takes advantage of the moment and makes his sister grab Hyun's knife. She stabs her own brother. Hyun dies in front of her. The special forces finally arrive and capture Young, but the infected have evolved again. They've learned how to use weapons. Infected soldiers attack the special forces with guns, allowing Young to escape. The disaster is no longer contained inside the building. The infected pour into the streets. Cars crash, people run for their lives, and the infection begins spreading throughout the city. Meanwhile, Saul discovers something extremely important from her experiments. Every colony has a controlling mind. If that mind dies, the rest of the infected may stop. And right now, that controlling mind is Young. Sejong and Saul realize there is no time to develop a cure. As long as Young remains alive, the infection will continue spreading. Sejong covers herself with a white substance and walks directly through the infected. None of them attack her. Using the security system, Saul guides her toward Young. Sejong reaches a vehicle and begins chasing him. The infected swarm around her car, but she manages to escape. Then she remembers something important. Ants can follow scent trails. If they all enter a closed, circular path, they can end up following one another endlessly. Sejong realizes she can use the same principle against the infected. She removes the jacket covered in the white substance and throws it onto one of the infected. Young orders the colony to attack the jacket, but because they also recognize the infected wearing it as one of their own, their commands become confused. One infected starts following another, then another follows the next. Within seconds, thousands of infected begin running in a giant circle. Young tries to stop them, but the colony has entered a closed loop. Eventually, the network collapses. The infected suddenly stop. When they wake up again, their learned information is gone. They return to their original state, crawling on all fours, and once again believing the human images are real. Sejong sees one final opportunity. She notices a bus covered with pictures of people. She uses it to lure Young toward the infected. The creatures attack the images, and Young falls into the chaos. He is pushed toward a burning vehicle. Sejong prevents him from escaping. Young is engulfed in flames, and when the controlling mind finally dies, every infected person in the city suddenly stops moving. The streets become completely silent. Thousands of bodies stand frozen in place. Sejong contacts Seoul, and both women realize that they have lost the only known source that could have helped create a cure. But the disaster may finally be over, or so they think. Sejong walks through the frozen infected, believing the nightmare has ended. Then, just before the story finishes, one of the infected suddenly moves. Its body begins waking up again. It seems the colony has started searching for a new controlling mind, and that's where our story ends.